Love having this guy on. This is one of I've lost track of his appearances here in person as well as on the phone. And he is co-hosting a 1-hour concert special with Eve called Play On, celebrating the power of music to make change. That's going to be on Tuesday, December 15th at 8 Eastern Time on CBS and CBS All Access, raising money for two longstanding vital philanthropic organizations, one being the NCAA Legal Defense and Educational Fund and Why Hunger, all collected through the Play On Fund at 6degrees.org, which is funded by our next guest, Kevin Bacon. How are you, sir?
It was really fun to hear you guys riffing before I got on here.
Okay,
I always get a kick out of that.
Well, I do read copy for a living and hit music stings for a living, and I take pride in that, Kevin. You know, I take pride in my work.
You should.
Thank you.
You should, my man.
Thank you.
Good. It's good to know. It's good to know your strengths. You know.
Yeah, I can hit the post
Yeah.
too. If I ramp up for music, I could hit a post too. You know, I can do that, but it's the sting that really gets me. I'll be honest, Kevin.
Listen. Yeah, I think we need these skills. We need these skills. It's a dying art. Let's put it that way.
Thank you. So walk me through this concert and how it came about and why you're doing it. I'll give you the floor.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Well, there was a great group of folks, including John Varvatos, who were doing a yearly charity live show at the Beacon Theater in New York called Love Rocks. And I'd played there with my band, and I'd also been there subsequent years. And they got together and started thinking about, during the pandemic, about doing something else for charities that would be on television with live music. And John and our other partners are all big fans of music and all kinds of music. And so they asked me to come on board, and we started talking, and this was, I think, in March, about doing some kind of a show. We knew that we wanted to do something around hunger. It was going to be really clear, looking at the situation economically in the country, that was going to become an issue that was going to become more and more important, and also social justice. And so we started to talk about what the show could be. And, you know, at that point, there were people that were doing some music shows. A lot of them were, I'm in my living room with an acoustic guitar, and it was incredibly heartwarming, but we wanted to have something that was a little bit more of a live kind of feel. All of us being fans of live music and of some of these iconic venues that we ended up focusing on. And it's been a long road, but we put together an amazing group of artists pretty much across the board of musical genres. I mean, we have hip-hop, we've got rap, we've got rock, we've got power punk, we've got soul music, we've got, I mean, the only thing, reggae, I mean, the only thing I thought maybe we didn't have was jazz, and then I realized that John Batiste does this very jazzy solo during a rendition of People Get Ready. And so I think if you like music, I think it's going to be a really exciting show.
Yeah, Bon Jovi, LL Cool J, Machine Gun Kelly, Snoop, Sheryl Crow, and more from places like the Troubadour here in L.A., the Apollo Theater in New York, Bluebird Cafe in Nashville. It's Play On, celebrating the power of music to make change, Tuesday, December 15th. Kevin Bacon here on the Rich Eisen Show. Which one of these folks do you know personally? Let's drop names. Is Bon Jovi? It's Bon Jovi, isn't it?
I do know John. Yeah. In fact, John, he's the one. He's the one. You probably lined this up in terms of our era. But years ago, John was doing a solo album called Destination Anywhere, and he was shooting this kind of long form video. It's almost like a little mini movie. And he asked me to act in it, and I did. And so yeah, we've known each other for a long time.
Okay, so which musicians you've ever been around with the best acting chops, then, Kevin? Which one do you think crossed over?
Listen. I think that Will Smith. He's done some acting in his life.
Yes.
Jamie Foxx is another one. Just incredible. Harry Connick Jr. John's done some acting. I mean, there's a lot of them. Listen, I play in a band, so I can't fault anybody for wanting to cross over. So, you know what I mean? That would just be setting me, up for a fall. I do think that, and we may have talked about this before, is that I think most people are more supportive of musicians who want to act than they are of actors who want to play music. And I think the reason is that most people look at actors and they think that what we do is probably pretty easy. It's kind of like, listen, if I would look like Brad Pitt, I would be an actor too, right? But when it comes to music, everybody's picked up an instrument and sat there and tried to figure out how to, play a guitar or violin or whatever. And you realize that it's hard, that you got to really work really hard at learning how to do it, and it doesn't really come that easy. So I think that we also put musicians on such a pedestal in our society, and I think that so I think there's a certain amount of resentment about that crossover thing.
Kevin Bacon here on the Rich Eisen Show, and this is my own pop culture filled brain at work here, Kevin. You mentioned Harry Connick Jr. If I'm not mistaken, Harry Connick Sr. defeated Jim Garrison, the real Jim Garrison in real life, for in the city of New Orleans. For I guess the lead attorney, and Garrison, if I'm not mistaken, was the guy who was prosecuting the case in JFK. Am I not mistaken? Did I just do a whole 6 degrees with Harry Connick Jr. with you, Kevin Bacon? Did I just do that?
That is a pretty wild 6 degrees. I have to tell you that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, sure. Jim Garrison was the Kevin Costner. Speaking of Kevin's, the Kevin Costner character in the movie JFK. I had no idea about Harry Connick Sr. That's complete news to me.
So I just connected.
That's super cool.
Yes, I just connected Harry Connick Jr. with you through JFK. That I just did it. I don't know. I feel like I just hit the. I feel like I just hit the sting here with you.
That was super impressive.
Why, thank you. I don't know if you're aware, you are joining me here, Kevin Bacon, on the 28th anniversary of A Few Good Men hitting theaters near you. Are you aware of that?
I was not aware of that.
28 years.
Wow. Amazing.
What was that like the first time you got involved with that film? I know we've talked about it before, but never on an actual anniversary of the date. I'd love to hit it.
Oh yeah.
What was that like?
It was a great thing. Rob Reiner, who I was a big fan of, I would say that Spinal Tap is pretty much my favorite movie ever. He came to me, and he actually. There was another part that I was kind of more interested in, and my wife said, "Don't be an idiot. You got to play that character of Jack." She definitely steered me away. It was more of like there was another kind of bad guy part that I was more interested in.
Which one was it? Was it the Kiefer Sutherland part?
I guess it must have been the part that Kiefer did. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I ended up doing Jack. And I was really glad that I did. I think she was right about that. I'm so often kind of drawn to darker, edgier things, but it was great. Aaron Sorkin's script just sang, and to be with Tom and Demi and to be working with Nicholson, who just was such an influence on me. I was thinking the other day that, to me, in a lot of ways, he was one of the first actors that had this kind of attitude where he didn't really give a what you thought about him. He was never really trying to be likable. When you look at things like 5 Easy Pieces and The Last Detail and Easy Rider, he never tried to be attractive or cute. I mean, if you in Chinatown. He's got a giant bandage on his nose for, probably 45% of the movie. And, it's like that to me was that lack of vanity and commitment to the individual roles is something that I've always tried to hold dear to my heart. And watching him do that speech time after time during that shooting day. It was cool to be with Jack.
Now I know again you've told the story before, but just for the purposes of retelling it in this space here, Jack did the scene over and over again. You were for his shot, but also on occasion for your shot, and also for everyone else's shot. And Kevin Pollak sat in every now and then too, I guess, is what he told us as well, to try imitate him.
Because the deal is that you have to shoot in one direction.
Right.
That's where all the lighting is going. So obviously with a scene like that, you want to shoot him earlier in the day, but there's a wide one and there's a tighter one and there's a tighter one, and so he'd done the scene a lot of times and just knocked it out of the park every single time. And then we had to turn the cameras around, and you had to do the coverage of me reacting, Tom reacting, to me reacting, Kev reacting, all of us, and he just kept delivering it, even though he was off camera. And I remember his uniform was getting kind of, his jacket was open at that point, his hair was messed up and stuff because he wasn't, on camera anymore. But he just crushed it. And I thought to myself, not only is he a great actor, but that kind of professionalism, that kind of generosity from one actor to the rest of the cast was something that I took to heart.
And it's interesting when you were just telling Kevin Bacon here on the show, when you were just talking about Nicholson and his appearance, right? And I remember when Terms of Endearment came out, that he playing a middle-aged man with a little bit of a potbelly was a shocker to so many people because of who he was in the 70s and how he kind of began to trade on his own age, and his aging was in itself a remarkable performance. I remember that about that movie.
Well, he's a perfect example of the fact that one of the things, if you're able to do it right as an actor, the fact that you age can be a real bonus because you get to play different and new things, and you get to walk in the shoes of a man that's at a different part of his life than he was when you were in your 20s. And he's really done that gracefully, and not been ashamed of it or afraid of it. And I agree with you in terms of endearment. There was a lot of shock, but for me it was just admiration. I was just, wow, he just does it.
So before I let you go, I ask this of you. I seem every time City on a Hill. Are we doing this again, or what are we? Where are we?
I'm in the middle of this. Yeah, I'm in the middle of the season. Yeah.
This is great.
We got shut down after our second episode in March, and we finally, I guess, about a month or two ago, got back up and running, and we are shooting, and dog willing, we will make it to the end of the season. And I'm really excited about this season. I think the writing is excellent. We have some new cast members who are great. And Aldous Hodge is here with me again, and I love this character, and they give me great stuff to play, so it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, it definitely lends credence to your statement earlier in this conversation, Kevin Bacon, that you're drawn to dark characters. My God.
Yeah, he's pretty dark.
Oh my gosh. You're plumbing the depths of your character on this show, and it's dynamite. Is Tucker back too? Is he back in the mix?
No,
too?
Tucker's not. No, Tucker's not back this season.
All right. Well, if he
unfortunately, because I'm crazy about him, and but we're still in touch.
Oh, it's too bad. Oh yeah. Well, okay then. If you speak to him before I do, ask him how the Red Sox season went. Ask him how that went, and how his Pats are doing. Go for it. Do that for me, will you? Do that, because when he came here years ago, because this show was born on DirecTV, and Kingdom was a dynamite show in which he dominated every scene in that show that he was in. So he came in here, and he took a video of him taking a Yankee hat that I had in my office, and putting it in the toilet. That actually happened, Kevin, which is not acceptable.
He's a pretty intense dude. He's a pretty intense dude, but I'm not surprised about that.
Right, exactly.
Man, that's cold. Well, I can tell you, if I can make a quick sports reference,
please,
to it relates to Play On. when I heard about the NBA playing in the bubble, I thought to myself, man, I don't know if I'm going to like this, without a home court advantage, with little Zoom images up on the wall and no fans there. And I found the season really infectiously fun. And I think the reason was that you see these men that are so good at what they do, and they love doing it. And the enthusiasm that I felt from them to play these games I just got completely wrapped up in it in a really pretty fun and intense way. And that is what I see when I watch our show, because musicians spend their whole life like basketball players, practicing and getting good and getting their chops up and being able to play with each other. And both of these are things that are not so that much fun to do all by yourself.
Right.
And when you look at Play On, you'll see that same kind of infectious groove going on between the players. So I hope people enjoy it.
Well, it's not just that too, Kevin. It's also playing in front of a crowd, and also getting the energy from the crowd and sending it back into the crowd. And it's sort of a symbiotic relationship that you see with athletes in the crowd, and obviously musicians with the crowd. All you need to do is just go to one Bon Jovi concert, one Springsteen concert, and you see that at work. I could name, obviously, hundreds of acts for that. And the fact that, again, that we saw, when we see these athletes still in empty stadiums go through this, and it means just as much to them as when there were 100,000 people in the stands or what have you. It is infectious. You do feel that in the couch, and you can forget the fact that there is no fans in the stands and kind of get lost in all of it, which is what we need to do these days.
Yeah.
Yep,
absolutely.
So again, I look forward to Play On, celebrating the power of music to make change. Again, that's Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, with Eve and Kevin Bacon on CBS and CBS All Access. And go check out 6degrees.org for the nonprofit organization that is going to be also at the center of all this. Thank you for the call, Kevin. I truly appreciate our conversations. Thank you.
It's always great to talk to you, Rich.
Right back at you. You take care. That's Kevin Bacon, at Kevin Bacon on both Twitter and Instagram, right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.